What's up out there? Coach Pennington here. Wanted to share some information on 2024 recruiting and how obviously things have changed over the past few years. But college coaches were out on the road starting this week. You'll see, start seeing more and more college coaches coming in the high schools and obviously reaching out more, as more and more teams fall out of the playoffs. More and more coaches will be out on the road, looking for that 2024 recruiting class. A lot of things have changed since I started coaching, even since I started at West Virginia State. The big one is the transfer portal, and that's what I hear, a lot of people talk about the most, especially from high school coaches and, parents of high school recruits. So I wanted to just share some information that might help any recruit or any parent of a recruit that's, looking to find a home for their student athlete and, kind of give some insight from a college football coach that might help out, in this process, because it can be overwhelming. It can be frustrating, and obviously, a lot of times you can look out there and it feels like everyone else has a million offers, and maybe you or your son don't quite have the offers that you want. But remember, it only takes one, and we'll talk about that here in a minute. So, I wanted to talk about, really three things for athletes and their families. Wanted to talk about, one, why college coaches are interested in the transfer portal. Number two, why, college coaches, very interested in high school student athletes, and kind of the value in both of those. And then lastly, some advice and some tips for any recruit, looking for that, that next opportunity. So, let's just start out with the most popular thing out there, and that's the transfer portal. There's a reason that the college coaches are constantly combing through the transfer portal. And I'll start by saying that, transfers always existed. It was always part of the model. It was a little harder, back in the day to find all the information, who was transferring, that sort of thing, without the portal. Now, that we have the portal, there's plenty of software and applications that you can use to help get more information. You can get film, Twitter, height, weight, position, snaps played, all that. You can get everything that you could possibly want on a transfer. Whereas, maybe 5 to 7 years ago, you really couldn't find hardly any of that. It took a lot of time, to kind of track down that information. Now you can find that, any player. We were, talking to a player from San Diego State the other day and had as much information as we needed on him, and likewise he had on us. So that's why it's different now. So always been transfers, but it's a little bit different because of how easy it is to access everything. There's a couple reasons why, myself and college coaches, want to recruit transfers. Obviously the number one reason is experience, and that goes with any. Just like if you were hiring for a job, you would start by looking for people with experience in that field, and transfers have either playing experience or practice experience. With a college football program, that means a lot. There's a lot. It's a big step from high school to college, and if you can find someone that has game experience, practice experience, just understands what college football is all about and maybe what it takes to be successful. I think that's the biggest factor. You get people that have been there, been in those moments, been there and done those things, understand how everything is supposed to work, and when they get to their next program, they can provide a great great value to whatever program they go to, because they probably understand a little bit better what college football is all about, just because they have the experience. So that's the first thing, is that a transfer has experience. And for any job, you definitely want someone with experience. At least that's the first thing you want to start out at. That's why every job interview, what experience do you have? That's kind of the same thing here. You've got guys with experience or guys with no experience. Of course, you want to look for people with experience that are going to help you probably get there a little bit quicker. The second thing with transfers is that inevitably freshmen are going to make mistakes, because everything is new. And I made mistakes as a freshman. All of our freshmen make mistakes, and they learn and they grow and they succeed because of those mistakes. But when you recruit an older player, they've already made a lot of those mistakes. And if you can find a player that's matured, from making mistakes and learning from those mistakes, then you're going to get a player that's probably a little bit easier to coach, that really understands, the ins and outs of being a student athlete at the college level, what it requires, what they need to do, how they need to be coached, how they need to work, how they need to, pay attention and be disciplined and accountable and those sort of things. A lot of times, that some of that stuff is already, they've already done it. They've already made the mistakes, learned the lessons, and they get to your program a more mature version of themselves. Now, that's not always the case. That's why you have to, do your due diligence as a college coach and make sure that you find young men that have learned from their experiences and can use that to make the next program better. So that's a big factor, for me. I enjoy recruiting players that, have matured, have made some mistakes, and like I said, hopefully, find the ones that have learned from those mistakes, because those are the ones that are going to be successful. The third piece of why college coaches are looking so hard at the transfer portal, and it's probably one that doesn't get talked about a whole lot, or maybe gets overlooked a little bit. But if we recruit a transfer, you can't transfer twice. So you can, but you have to sit out a year. So the likelihood of a college getting a transfer who wants to leave, is a lot less than maybe a high school student athlete, just because of the numbers and the percentages. Not a big chance that you're going to get a transfer that's going to want to leave and sit out a full year. And there's maybe some long ways around that, but for the most part, you're going to get guys that stay, for the rest of their career, whether that's 1 year, or 4 years, or 3 years, whatever it may be. So, that also comes into play because, the transfer portal, it works both ways, right? So if you have a freshman that comes in, absolutely tears it up, there's a chance, you're going to have to recruit him to stay. And there's a chance that he could leave and want to go, somewhere else that maybe has, to a higher level, or, closer to home, or whatever it may be. And that's something that you're going to have to, you're going to have to fight, that, they can leave without any, no penalties, anything like that. So that always, comes into play as well. It's like, well, we can get a guy who has experience, that maybe, that if he does come here, this will, he can't leave if he has a really good year. Whereas sometimes, you get a freshman that comes in, they have a really good year and they could leave. And once again, it's not always how it goes down. Certainly there are, different circumstances for different players, but, the biggest thing is, it's going to be less likely that a player leaves, that transfers in, because they have to sit out a year. So that's one that kind of goes, doesn't get talked about a lot. And it definitely factors in, to my thought process, and I'm sure other college coaches' thought process, because, once you get a player here, you want to develop them, you want to keep developing them. And if you know that there's a greater likelihood of them staying, that definitely factors in. So those are the three kind of main points of why college coaches are, really focused on the transfer portal. One, they've got experience and probably can help a little quicker. Two, transfers have, probably matured, learned lessons that, almost all freshmen are going to make along the way as they figure out, kind of the new, way to be as a college student athlete. And then third is that, a transfer will have to sit out a year if he transferred again. So the likelihood of losing him is not great. With all that being said, the model of recruiting the high school student athlete is still, for us, the foundation of what we do in our program. And there's, a couple reasons for that. I think, the majority of our players, at least here at West Virginia State, are going to be, players that we recruited out of high school. And, that's going to be the foundation of our program. That's going to be the culture, the blue collar mentality, the kind of, the mindset that we're looking for is going to be built around the kind of young men that we get out of high school and that we develop over time, in our program. So, the majority of our players are going to be from the high school model. So, we have to make sure that we do an excellent job finding great student athletes, specifically who fit our culture, that like what we do and how we do it, and that want to be at West Virginia State. And so that's vital. We're going to get more high school recruits than we are transfers. So that's a huge part of our program. It's a huge voice in our locker room, and it's a absolute necessity that we get excellent high school players. So that's that's one reason. The second reason is when you have guys that have been in your program for a long time, the more starts that you have on the field, the better your team is going to be. I think, if you took the statistics from every, football season, the team that has the most starts on their team, overall starts, if you had a quarterback that had 30 starts, your right tackle has 15, your left tackle has 10, you add all those up, the team that has the most starts from the year before is, typically going to have the best record. So if you can get great players, retain them, develop them, and have them excel on the football field, that is the best path to success. Now, it might take a little bit longer, but ultimately, that's what we want here. We want to have multi-year starters. You don't want to have 7 new starters on each side of the ball every year, even if they are great players in their own right. It's gonna make your program better. It's gonna make your culture better, and that's another piece of it is the leadership side. Your leaders are typically going to be the players that have been in your program, developed, in your program, understand what you're looking for, and they're going to be the ones that kind of pass on, the behaviors and traits that we look for in our program. And the strength of our team is based on the strength of our culture. We're only as strong as our culture can take us. So that part is absolutely a giant piece of our program, and that's why it's extremely important that we get a great high school recruiting class every year and develop those guys, and get them to where they're leaders in our program, have multiple starts on the field, because those guys are going to be the ones leading our team, helping us build our culture, and building that family environment. That's really the third piece, is that your family environment. If you have too many transfers, in my opinion, if you have too many new players, it's going to be tough to handle the ups and downs and the adversity that's going to come during a college football season. You want to have players that have been there, done that with you, have seen the other coaches, everyone in their program, through the ups and downs. I think it's when you learn the most about people, is when they go through adversity. So we've been through those ups and downs together over multiple years. It helps that team camaraderie, that you don't get any kind of fractures in your locker room where people are complaining about this or that, and that's kind of human nature. But at least if you have people in your program, they understand what's expected and what to do. So that's a big factor, is the leadership. And so if you have a great high school class, the chance that you're going to bring in great leaders is much greater, because they're going to develop and do some of the things that we expect them to do, and be able to pass that on to any new players. So that's a huge factor. I think maybe one more factor that that might go overlooked is you definitely want transfers to speed up the process, but if you want to build a great program that can last and sustain success, I really believe that you have to get great high school players and great high school recruits, and so that's why we do that here. I think a lot of colleges have similar mindsets, that you got to get transfers immediately to ramp up your roster, but you have to continue to build through the high school model to build your culture, build your team environment, and build some pride in your program, and just to build that program wide culture. And if you're trying to have a quick fix, I think if you bring in a lot of transfers and get a lot more talent, it's certainly doable, but I don't know if that's sustainable. I think in order to sustain success, you need to be able to do both well. You need to be able to get transfers to help immediately, and you need to be able to find a lot of high school players that you could build your program around. And if you do a good enough job of finding transfers that fit your culture, finding high school athletes that that fit your culture and what you're looking for, then you can really mesh those two types of recruits into a family environment, a strong culture, one with great leadership and discipline. And that's I think anyone that gets into coaching does it for the relationships and how you get to help and impact young people and develop young men into leaders. So, that ultimately is what drives me to do what I do every day. So that is another reason, being able to coach someone for 5 years, it's such a rewarding feeling, and seeing them graduate and hugging their parents and their grandparents and knowing that you had a small part and a positive impact, in their, for the rest of their life, and that you'll be their coach forever. And you can have maybe a more meaningful impact with that 4 or 5 year recruit than necessarily a transfer. But either way, whether a player comes in for 1 year or 5 years, we can develop them on and off the field. And so that's ultimately what we love to do, and what I love to do is develop young men into leaders. And whether they've been here for 1 year or 5 years or anything in between, we can always develop them and teach them things, new perspectives, new leadership tools, new ways to look at things that might change everything for them and how they can be successful on and off the football field. So those are some of the reasons why college coaches are looking at the portal, and also some of the reasons why that the high school model is still very much a big part of what we do. So people would ask me, are you guys just looking at the portal, or what are you doing? We're doing both. We're looking for great transfers that can come and help immediately, and we're looking for great high school student athletes who can come in and develop in our program. And obviously there will be some that help immediately. There's every year we burn plenty of red shirts, and then now you can play a couple games and still keep that red shirt. So freshmen can help us immediately as well, but we're looking for both transfers and high school athletes. I wanted to leave with 3 tips for any recruit and any recruit of any parents out there. I talk obviously to a lot of recruits and a lot of parents, and I get over the years you see a lot of similar things, right? You see players that are overwhelmed, parents that are overwhelmed, players that are frustrated. It can be a very frustrating process depending on how you're looking at things. So I wanted to share just 3 tips that I think anybody could take with them from watching this video, and be and really make it more clear, maybe less frustrating, and kind of narrow some things down. So tip number 1, for any recruit, and I would tell my sons this, write out the top three priorities that you're looking for in a program. I mean, really break it down, not the color of the jerseys, or what the campus looks like, or something like that. Maybe more of what majors they have, or if you're a transfer quarterback, with 1 year left of grad school, that's going to be, you're going to have a completely different set of priorities than maybe a high school offensive lineman who is unsure of what he's majoring in. So, and there's so many options out there that, you've got to be able to kind of narrow it down, that what are those 3 main priorities that I can really, hang my hat on. And you don't want to have any more than 3, anything more than 3, and you're going to end up kind of in the same world. So, write those 3 priorities down. Excellent, trusting coaching staff that's in it for the long run, or the best facilities, at whatever level I'm going to, or has my desired major, or has an excellent criminal justice program, or whatever it may be. Has a history of sending of great quarterback play, or great receiver play, or great defensive back play. What are the 3 things that are really going to drive your decision? And write them down, and put them somewhere where you can see them. And that way, anytime you talk to a coach or you go on a visit, you can really look at those 3 things, and that'll help you kind of weigh things out. And honestly, it'll help you probably get rid of some schools, which would probably be a good thing, is there's so many out there. So it'll help you narrow it down. And if you're talking to 20 different coaches and 20 different programs, it's going to be tough, to pick the right school. You may overlook some things, that you wouldn't have, or be swayed in some way if you wouldn't have written those 3 things down. Number 2, keep all options open. Even if you have, Division I offers, continue to look at Division II schools, or if you have Division II offers, continue to look at NAIA and Division III schools. And I only say that because, I know there's a lot of schools and Division I schools specifically that put a lot of offers out there, and then they can only take so many. So offers get rescinded. Players can there's a lot of give and take, and you don't want to be playing musical chairs and be left without a chair. So keep all options open, and you can find great opportunities at different levels. We've had Dennis Gardak is playing in the NFL right now for the Cardinals. He's a captain. Played at West Virginia State. We've had guys go on to do incredible things. I mean, you see every year 5-star recruits that don't pan out, and you see no-star recruits that go on and play in the NFL and win Heisman trophies and things like that. So every year you see that, and the reason for that is because it doesn't really matter how many offers. You don't need 57 offers to find the right opportunity. You just got to keep all your options open. Follow those 3 priorities that you wrote down. That way you can be on the right track. And then you can narrow down from there and figure out specifically what is the best program for you. So tip number 1, write down the 3 things that are important to you and keep it somewhere and constantly talk about that with your coach, with your parents, in comparing schools to those 3 critical things for you. Number 2, keep all options open. Obviously if you're committed somewhere, that's a little different, but as you're going through the process, talk to Division III, Division II, Division I, look at walk-on Division I's, look at scholarship, NAI. Like you never know what could be the best opportunity, and there are so many great opportunities. I've coached at every level, and we've developed guys have had outstanding careers and gone on to do incredible things, not just in football but in life, at all the levels I've coached at. So I always believe that there are great opportunities out there at any level. It doesn't have to be Division I or Division II or whatever it may be. And the third, tip that I think is just the most important, remember why you started doing this in the first place. That, all you need is one opportunity. That's it. You don't need 57 offers to be successful as a college student athlete. You only need one opportunity to be successful. And the ones that make the most of that opportunity are the ones that have success. And that's why 5-star recruits don't always pan out. That's why, guys that have 57 offers, or I don't know why I keep using that number, but guys that have, 25 offers, it doesn't mean that they're going to be a better player than a guy that has one offer. I mean, you see it all the time. You see Tom Brady was a 6th-round draft pick. Ease is much more of a hindrance to success than discomfort. So, I think that, that adversity or that, being slighted can always be, a great way to fuel the fire. And all you need is one opportunity. So remember why you did this in the first place. You just wanted an opportunity. You wanted an opportunity to play college football and to be successful and get a degree and have a great experience and make, and build relationships. And you don't need 57 offers to get that. You just need one opportunity and the right opportunity. And believe me, it's out there. There are a lot of options out there that can provide you with a great opportunity to go on and do, you see it every year. You look at the NFL, there's players from Division II, Division III, FCS, FBS. You don't have to be at Georgia to make it to the NFL or to have a great career. You just got to find the right opportunity and make the most of it. And that's ultimately what it's going to come down to. Whoever makes the most of the opportunities they're given are going to be successful. So don't forget that. Remember why you did it. You just wanted an opportunity. There's an opportunity out there for you, and you don't need 20 of them. Honestly, it might make it even harder if you have 20 opportunities, because it'll be that much harder to make that decision. If you only have one, it'll be a lot easier. I remember when I was a kid, we only had 3 to 5 channels to watch. So you had to pick one of them. It was a little bit easier. Now there's 200 some channels. I feel like me and my kids and my wife sit down and can't ever find anything to watch, and there's just too many options. So, narrowing it down and finding that one right opportunity so you can take advantage of it is, I think, the key, to having a less stressful recruiting process. So I hope that, helped you out. Just some information from a college football coach of why we look in the portal, why we still recruit the high school model, and then some tips for any recruit. And just to break those down again, just writing down those 3 opportunities, that keeping all your options open, and then remembering that you only need one opportunity to be successful. You don't need 57 scholarship offers. So I hope that was helpful. Definitely anyone that's interested in West Virginia State to playing football or coming to school, please, reach out to us. We want guys who want to be Yellow Jackets. We have a great program. We don't twist anybody's arm to come here. So if there is anyone out there that is interested, the best thing you can do is reach out to me or any of our assistant coaches, DM us on Twitter. Get it out there that you're interested, and we'll get you on a visit and figure out, how to make the most of your opportunity. So appreciate all you guys. Hope you have, good luck in recruiting. College coaches, be safe out there. High school coaches, reach out to me. I'd be glad to help in any way. If you got a guy that's a culture program guy, man, send them our way. We love those guys, and they make or break our program. So anyways, have a great week and happy holidays.